Hey everyone, I just want to check in with you all and see how you are feeling. Are you feeling exhausted? Have you been feeling like you've just been completely flattened? It's probably because Mars is about to station retrograde here on December 6th at 6 degrees Leo in 9 minutes. So if you have Leo, like you want to look at and see where Leo is in your chart, because that is where a big and important story is occurring. And you also want to check your Cancer house, wherever you have Cancer in your chart, because that is going to tell you also where a major unfolding and reworking is going to occur. So Mars is going to be stationing in Leo, as I mentioned, but it's going to be splitting its retrograde between Leo and Cancer. And when Mars retrogrades, it's very important to pay attention, because this is the planet that retrogrades the least frequently. It is the rarest of the planetary retrogrades. And so when Mars is retrograde, it's something important is happening in your chart and in your life. So I just wanted to check in with you all and see how you're doing, because I have been feeling the Mars retrograde exhaustion since Mars entered Cancer in September. And I think a lot of people I've been talking to have been feeling that as well. It's like the eclipses, that eclipse in Pisces kind of took some of us out. And so if we want to blame the eclipse, if we want to blame Mars retrograde, what have you. But I know that a lot of people I've been talking to, my clients, people in my life, have just been feeling completely flattened. And if that's you, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go with it, because Mars retrograde is like rest period. It's like cosmic rest period. And it's vital that we rest. It's like when you go to sleep at night in order to get up and operate the next day. It's like when you have to stop and plug your phone into the wall before you can keep moving around with it. It's like you have to stop and sharpen your pencil. You know, you can't be working with a dull tip, right? Some of us remember using pencils in grade school. Like, you have to stop and sharpen it. And the ancients compared Mars retrograde to stopping and sharpening your weapon and then going back to battle. I liken Mars retrograde to halftime of a sports game, because during halftime, everyone is off the field. And that's an important period for players to re-strategize what they're going to do in the second half of the game. And it's important that we stop and rehydrate and contemplate our motives, contemplate our what motivates us, what enlivens us, what defines our spark. Mars is the planet of primal reactivity, primal activity. It's something that's very automatic and natural for us. It's like our automatic response. It's how we rise to the occasion. And when Mars is retrograde, that automatic impulse is not sparking as much. And so many of us feel exhausted, depleted, or wiped out, or just wondering where the hell our motivation went, where the hell our ambitions went. And so this is a time of deep contemplation around what is it that energizes us? What is it that we aspire to? And sometimes Mars retrogrades can simply just be, it's time to take a rest, it's time to take a break. And by doing that, by taking a break, you're going to come back to your activities more energized. You may have a fresh mode of attack when you come back after a long break. Like, I just took a long break. My kids were on Thanksgiving break, my kid, and I did nothing for an entire long weekend. And it was the most revitalizing thing I could do. That's why I'm here even talking to you into the camera right now, is because prior to that, I was only able to just do the essential things, and I just had no more energy left for anything else. And so if you're feeling completely flattened right now energetically, I would highly recommend doing the same thing. Like tend to the essentials only, and everything else, give yourself an opportunity to rest and replenish, because that is what the energy is calling for right now. It's like there's a season for everything, and the planets tell us what time it is. And again, it is rest period, my friend. And I want to point you toward my colleague, actually, Sabrina Monarch. I love her insights. They're just so supercharged. And Sabrina said something really cool. And she was talking about Mars retrograde and how a lot of times during Mars retrograde, we lose interest in our day-to-day tasks. And the deeper invitation is to figure out, how to connect with the why you love doing something, and to figure out a way that you could bring that sense of love. Like, why is it that you love doing anything that you do? And to really deeply connect with that connection. And I think that that's what I've been trying to say as well, is that, a lot of times these Mars retrogrades are periods of deeper contemplation around what it is that we truly want and how to bring that spark back. And so by doing that, you do have to ask yourself what it is that you love about it, how to reconnect with that, because love energizes us, love supercharges us. So that's something I would recommend as well. So wherever you're feeling stuck, or you might look at your Leo house, you might look at your Cancer house and think about, how can I get in deeper alignment with this area of my life? What's missing for me? Where is that extra special spark that I require? I would also point you back to the winter of 2007 going into 2008. That's the last time we had Mars retrograde in Cancer. And yeah, so if Cancer is an important part of your chart, then that time period might speak volumes to you. Because here's the thing. You might be feeling exhausted right now, and you might be trying to fight that. Like, what is going on? Don't fight it, because when Mars stations direct at the end of February, if you have taken the time to rest, if you have taken the time to look within, if you have taken the time to examine why your motivation is gone, or what isn't hitting for you, what isn't energizing for you anymore, if you've taken the time to rest, here's the thing, here's the secret about Mars retrograde, is that Mars retrogrades can be highly creative if you take the time to rest, because creativity is born of white noise. In other words, you have to silence your mind. You can't be overly busy or overly stressed in order to be creative. Creativity comes when your brain is in a relaxed delta wave, like creative state. I think it's delta wave. Don't quote me on that. But anyhow, Mars retrogrades can be highly creative because it asks us to rest and reformulate. And it's through that alchemical process that we're able to come up with a creative plan of attack in order to carry through our intentions. So that's the secret about Mars retrograde, is that they can be highly creative if you listen. You have to let yourself rest. You have to let yourself melt. You have to give in to the urge of nothingness at times. And you will get your energy back. You will get your spark back. In fact, by the end of February, when Mars is stationing direct, I think that's on February 24th. February 24th at 17 degrees Cancer. Even before that, you might be feeling like you're on the other side of it and you're ready to go. So it's like you have to pull the bow, you have to pull the arrow back in the bow before you can launch it. It's one of those things. So you got to get a full night's sleep if you want to have an awesome next day. So definitely listen to your body. And you might be feeling extra tired if you're like me and you're born with Mars pretty close to the sun, because this is the opposite. When Mars is retrograde, it's opposite the sun. It's furthest away from the sun. So some people who are born with Mars in opposition to the sun or thereabouts may feel more energized by this transit. In fact, Austin Coppock says that some people born on Mars retrograde find Mars retrogrades to be really potent for them, really productive, or there can be, they feel more effective. And I would interpret that as, anytime you have like a natal aspect reappearing in the sky, that's important. That's very, very important. Dorotheus talks about that. And so if you're born on Mars retrograde, this is a point of resonance for you. And the Mars retrograde could have highly important sort of benchmarkers on your life story, turning points for you. So if you're born under Mars retrograde, you definitely want to be paying attention to where this is happening in your chart. And if you need some assistance figuring out what Mars retrograde is doing for me, I do have openings in January and February while Mars is still retrograde. So feel free to book your reading with me and we can talk about it more in detail. There will also be a Venus retrograde starting right after Mars retrograde ends, as well as a Mercury retrograde and another batch of eclipses. So March is going to be eventful. So if you're looking to get a reading in the new year, now would be a really good time to get on my schedule. But for right now, that is your astrology shot of the day, doing things a little differently right now, going with the flow for Sagittarius season. And I will catch you next time.